And this is the wonderful thing. So you can get rid of things from the past and you can help yourself with things in the future. So this is the key. And this is why hypnotherapy is so good with anxiety and so many things. I mean, anything to do with the mind. Because a lot of people don't understand what we do, but we actually change the association with things. So that's why we can get rid of fears and phobias by just taking somebody back and getting them to relive the event, whatever it was, but living it in the way that they wish they'd have done it. Therefore, when they think back to it, everything's fine. Using hypnosis to overcome anxiety, a step-by-step guide. So, what is anxiety? A lot of people are very surprised when I tell them that anxiety is a good thing, because most people know about anxiety as a bad thing, particularly if you suffer from anxiety, which I have. Anxiety is actually a good thing because what it's actually meant for is for our survival. So, when we have anxiety, these days, because so many things have been taken care of and our safety is guaranteed in most situations compared to thousands of years ago with being cavemen and cave women, these days we can get anxiety over things that we really shouldn't. Our subconscious mind can trick us into thinking that certain things we need to be worried about when in reality we don't. So let's imagine going back in time to the cavemen and cave women. So if something was to happen, let's say they were preparing some food in a cave or wherever, and then all of a sudden they heard a loud roar of a wild animal, then all of a sudden their anxiety would go all the way up and they would feel it. The heart rate would go faster, they'd start to sweat, and they'd be really, really on high alert, and they would go and face whatever it is. And this is when the fight or flight system inside us is activated. So if it's something they can deal with because they need to deal with it right there and then, they can attack it, they can fight the bear or lion, whatever it is, away. If they need to run away, then they have that extra power inside where they can run away because the heart's fast and they're on high alert, so they can go. So that's the whole point of fight or flight. So this is what it's meant for. That's why it's a good thing, because actually, if you didn't have that, then you heard a loud roar, you wouldn't do anything, and eventually you'd be eaten and killed. So it's a good thing for this. But nowadays, we have it for all sorts of the wrong reasons, like I said before. We pick up anxiety because of things perhaps we've said in the past that then we can worry about, how we came across to somebody that we're speaking to. We can have anxiety because something happened in our old work. Maybe we were bullied by a boss, or an old relationship, or we can have an anxiety about a relationship we're in, a friendship we're in. We could have an anxiety about something going on in the future, perhaps being uncertain about what might be happening in the future. So this is when we start to become anxiety sufferers. And the subconscious mind doesn't understand what's good and what's bad. You have to tell it. So if you're constantly thinking about the same things, it creates a pattern, and it makes the worrying, the overthinking, a habit. And that's why it's difficult sometimes for people to get out of this vicious circle of the bad version of anxiety, basically. And so you can get stuck in it. Now, just like a fear or a phobia, once your subconscious mind has held onto it for long enough, it's very, very difficult for it to change. And I'm a hypnotherapist. And so when people come and see me, what I have to do is I have to use hypnotherapy to actually get the conscious mind, which is the gatekeeper for the subconscious mind, to relax and go to sleep, so I can speak directly to the subconscious mind and then make the necessary changes. And it really is that simple. So if somebody was to come along and say, let's say, for example, they were working for a supermarket 2 years ago for 6 months, and they were bullied by the people that they were working with. And since then, they've just had lots of anxiety. They've been over-worrying and overthinking. They've been paranoid about going out. They lack confidence. So they can come and see me. And what I would do is I would find out as much information I could about what had happened. And then I would actually, under hypnosis, take them back to certain points of, let's say, this bullying episode, but get them to deal with it in a completely different way, in a way that they wish they'd have been able to deal with in the first place. So they get the opportunity to go back and desensitize the whole situation to neutralize the feelings that they had. So let's say, for example, one particular day, somebody said something horrible to them as they were leaving to go home, and they were really upset in the car. So I'd get them to go back to before the event and feel really confident, really happy. Nothing can touch them in this moment. And this person says something to them and they turn around and say, thank you so much. And they get in their car and they don't worry about it and they go home. And just by taking them through this process under hypnosis, it changes the way you feel about that situation. So instead of thinking back to the original event, what actually happened, instead, now you have a new version of it that's replaced the old version due to being under hypnosis. Because a lot of people don't understand what we do, but we actually change the association with things. So that's why we can get rid of fears and phobias by just taking somebody back and getting them to relive the event, whatever it was, but living it in the way that they wish they'd have done it. Therefore, when they think back to it, everything's fine. And this is how we get rid of anxiety. This is how we increase confidence, increase positivity. It's endless. It really is incredible. And so this is what I was doing a lot with my hypnotherapy, with my, obviously, hypnotherapy clients. And now I have a whole collection on the website where people can actually get the same results, but by using hypnotherapy audios. Some are generic, but I've done them in such a way. I've created ARM, the Accelerated Results Method, and inside it is a fantastic. It's generic, but it works for everything. I'll put it this way: before the end of my career of actually dealing with clients, I could help a client without them telling me what was wrong, because of this system that I created. Somebody could come along and say, "I have anxiety." I say, "No problem. Sit down," and I could do it with them. Now, the main reason why you speak to somebody about anxiety and you want to get to the bottom of it when you don't need to, is because sometimes it helps that person understand in that moment, in the consultation where you're not doing any therapy yet, that they're going to be helped. So they have the expectancy, they have the belief, they already start to feel better. But if you see somebody just once and you want to do a therapy session with them just once, then you can actually say to them, "So what's the problem? I have anxiety, don't tell me anymore." And with this method, you can actually get rid of whatever the anxiety is without delving even slightly into what the situation was, because of the way the hypnotherapy script is written. It's very clever, but it's taken a long time to get to this point. So basically, anything and everything that's been holding the person back, for whatever reason, will be taken away from the subconscious mind, so they have a complete fresh start. And so these audios, they work in the way that it's repetition. So you listen to it once, and then the next day again, and 14 days minimum, and you will have a result. So it's a real direct way of getting straight to the core problem and completely getting rid of it without having to ask any questions. And the main part of this was without having to put people through talking about something that they didn't want to talk about. Because if you had the choice to get rid of something in your mind without having to go through it again, or getting rid of something from your mind but having to relive it again, I know which one you would pick. But the common, most taught, most popular way is to relive it. People believe you have to relive these horrible events again to work out why it happened. But when you actually think about that, going back to the example in the supermarket, why somebody called this person something as they were leaving to go home, in reality, who cares why it happened? Who cares why this person said this horrible thing to this other person? Because it's clearly this other person's problem. Unless they're coming for the therapy with the victim, there's pointless going through why that happened. It doesn't matter. But can we get rid of the way it made you feel? Yes. And that's the most important thing. And the great thing is, not only can you get rid of the negative emotions from the past so the person can now feel better, but you can also give them a shield for the future, so that when other things happen similar to these and variations of these things, of getting abuse from people, emotional abuse, you have a shield so you can actually be the person that you want to be. So somebody says something horrible, thanks a lot, and you move on. You don't argue, you don't let it come in and let it fester and think about it for days on end. It bounces off you. And this is the wonderful thing. So you can get rid of things from the past and you can help yourself with things in the future. So this is the key. And this is why hypnotherapy is so good with anxiety and so many things. I mean, anything to do with the mind. So there we go. Hypnotherapy really can completely eradicate anxiety. In some cases, at least massively get the levels down. One thing that's quite important to mention is sometimes people used to come and see me right when they're in the middle of something, right when they're in the middle of, say, a relationship that's breaking down. And the relationship's going to break down, but they're going through that process of maybe staying in the same house as their partner for another few weeks or few months, whatever it is. So they're actually, it's almost like they're in the middle of a fight, but they're coming to me and they want me to heal them. They want me to put the plasters on their cuts. But then they're going to leave my office, they're going to go back home, and they're going to continue to fight. And so these are the times where it's more difficult. And these are the times where you can help someone through the process, but at the end of the process, then you can get rid of all the anxiety connected to that whole situation, because it's very important that you're past it. You can help somebody feel better about the situation they're in, but it's so much better once the situation has finished and they're past the event, then you can get rid of all of those negativities around that event and make a complete fresh start. So, with that being said, all is never lost. Unfortunately, hypnotherapy is often the last port of call for most people, and honestly, it really should be the first. People all over the world are using my hypnotherapy audios now to actually feel better in every single way. And one of my favorite products is the Rise Above Anxiety Pack. If you'd like to find out more about it, then simply click the link below. And from all of us here at New Mindset Hypnotherapy, we hope you have the best day ever. And thank you so much for watching.